Guten Shabbos. There's a story told about the Sfas Emes, Rebbe Yehuda Aryeh Leib Alter, the second Gerer Rebbe, who tragically, when he was a child, his parents passed away, and his grandfather, the Chidushei Harim, took responsibility for his education. One time he was studying with a study partner literally all night long, and he came late to davening, to services in the morning. His grandfather came over to him and rebuked him, and he listened quietly without saying anything. Afterward, his friend said to him, "I don't understand. You should have explained to your grandfather that in fact you were up all night long, and the fact that you came a little late to prayers, to davening, is really inconsequential." To which the Sfas Emes responded. He said, "I would never give up the opportunity to receive criticism and direction from my grandfather. As the Rebbe Rashab said, we should love criticism because it enables us to grow in our service of God." But this is a very, very unusual thing for a person to appreciate rebuke. In fact, the Talmud tells us that Reb Tarfon said, "I would be surprised if there was anyone in this generation who can receive rebuke." And one of the reasons for this is because it's extremely difficult to give rebuke in a manner that it's accepted by the person, by the recipient. This week's Parsha shares with us Moshe Rabbeinu's discussion with the Jewish people right before he passed away. And amongst the things he did was rebuke the Jewish people. But he did it in such a way that, of course, it was received by Klal Yisrael. Rashi shares with us a few different insights into how he went about rebuking the Jewish people. First of all, he specifically waited until he had to the end of his life, and until he had already brought the Jewish people, conquered Sichon and Og. He had done something for the Jewish people. He had expressed his love in so many different ways so that they would recognize that the rebuke is coming, the criticism is coming from a very, very good place. The Gemara tells us that only share rebuke or criticism with somebody if it will be heeded. But if you know it will not be heeded, do not share criticism. Another lesson from Moshe Rabbeinu is that he, in the first verses of Devarim, of Deuteronomy, he merely mentions the place where the Jews had sinned in the various ways. He doesn't dwell at length on what they did wrong. He alludes to the fact that they had sinned in these places just by mentioning those locations. And that was a sufficient way of him communicating to them, criticizing their behavior in such a way that they would listen and hopefully change their conduct. We find ourselves in the 3 weeks, which in a sense is Hashem's response, his rebuke of the Jewish people for the sins that they committed. So on Tisha B'Av, on one hand, we look in the rear view mirror and we mourn the fact that we sinned in this way, which led to the destruction of the temples. But Tisha B'Av is also a holiday. It's called a moyed. Why? Because we also look to the future, where we're going to transform those behaviors, learn from our mistakes, and ultimately merit Hashem's rebuilding of the third Beis HaMikdash, the third temple. May we merit its arrival speedily in our days. And everyone should have a wonderful and joyous Shabbos.